before we go live, well, if people are watching, bro, I cannot get my YouTube to go live when I go live on here.
I have no idea. I don't think
Yeah,
I've
dude.
gone live at YouTube before.
Normally, when you go to YouTube, when you hit live on here, when you go to YouTube, it's automatically live there, or it asks you, "Do you want to go live?" And of course, oh, it says we're live. We're live, bro. Okay.
Hey,
Hold on. All right.
we're fucking
So
live.
we're. I didn't even do it right. We're gonna pretend that we didn't do it. I'm gonna pull you out. We're gonna do it again. So if I edit it, we
Ooh,
got it. So hold
yeah,
on.
this is like that.
All right, children, this is again my learning process for the show. So let's try this right here for the intro. Of course, we can't do that. I'm here. Dude, unbelievable. One day I'll stop embarrassing myself and actually figure this out and do it the right way. I'm just so busy. But thank you guys for my technical difficulties per usual. Super excited today. I got a good friend of mine, a legend in the horror industry, Uncle Creepy himself, Steve Barton. Me and him have become friends over the years. I think Steve and I were kind of friendly before we even knew who we were. But I'm excited to have him on the show. He's got a brand new book that just came out. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his history. We're going to talk about movies he's been in. We're going to talk about everything. So, with no further ado, let me change my little camera here. We're going to add the man himself, Steve Barton, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. And thank you for the kind words. It's always weird for me to hear someone say a legend in the horror industry because I'm a schmuck. And, but I guess my tenure of God in July, it's going to be 31 years I've been doing this in one way or another. I guess that's added to my cachet, I guess. So I guess it's fitting.
How now you're around my age, right? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm gonna be 52 on June 27th.
Okay, so we're close. I just turned 48, so that's a long. So your whole life has been horror.
Yeah, I mean, literally from when I was 3 years old on.
Wow.
I started working. It's funny too, man, because I was there at like the fucking start of the internet. You know what I mean?
Me too. Yeah.
When it was just like the Wild West and nobody knew what the fuck it was.
Dial-up. It's that when you'd go on
Oh,
LimeWire and you thought you downloaded Tupac, and then you had a threesome all of a sudden on your computer, and you're like, "What the hell? Where'd this come from?"
yeah,
You know?
totally, dude.
Yeah.
And so before I was doing that, I was doing fanzines, where
Yeah.
for like the people in my neighborhood, my friends, and we were writing all these articles, and it was a really cool DIY way to, try to get your opinion out. I mean, of course, there were magazines that were perfect, like Fangoria, of course, and Rue Morgue, and I don't know if Rue Morgue was around in the early days. I don't remember when they came out, but there was definitely Gore Zone. There was definitely Fangoria, and before that, there was Famous Monsters. So I was like, "Hey, look at my little fanzine."
Yeah. I think back in the day before us, wasn't there a Universal Monster magazine or something like that? Universal?
Universal actually had a website that first
Okay.
started. It was one of the first horror things. I think it was called 13thstreet.com or
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
And it was really cool. It had all these little like flash games you could play, but it was no real horror content. That didn't happen until the early 2000s sometimes.
Wow.
But,
Well, let me jump in the comments one time. Um, Doomsday Crypt. I don't know if you know John Henderson at Doomsday Crypt. He says, "What's up, guys?" 80s horror man. Hey, Peter, how's it going? Good, my friend. Val's great. She helps the show out. Val and Jerry, welcome to the show, Steve.
Hi, Val. Hi, everyone.
Amy Rothstein. I don't know if you know her from Indie Horror Junkie. What's up, gentlemen? She
Hey,
was the cover of that I made for Laugh. That was her magazine.
oh, that was beautiful.
Her and Rick, and she's a great actress, great producer, great
Oh,
friend. And I
let's
don't know
talk to all of them.
Karen Deal, Uncle Creepy,
Win.
David Rand. Great man, what a fan this guy is. What a supporter. What's up, Peter and Uncle? So we'll jump back to that. So speaking of Uncle Creepy, this is what I wanted to ask you for a long time. Where, because I know my nickname, the Mad Cuban, I got that playing football, and it was given to me by another player. Where did Uncle Creepy come from? What's the genesis, and has it evolved over the years?
You know, Peter, had I have known the name would follow me the rest of my life, I may have been a little bit more selective, kind of. Just, over the years, some connotations have developed here and there. It's actually very tame in nature.
Who's this lady?
I don't know. I think I married her. Anyway, when I was like in my really formative years, like somewhere between like 1 and 10, one of my favorite comic books was a comic book called Creepy Magazine, and Uncle Creepy was like their crypt keeper, you know? And when the internet first started becoming a thing, I was thinking, oh, well, everybody has a cool name. I think I need to figure out what mine's going to be.
Yeah.
So I chose Uncle Creepy. And you know what's funny? Like, I became known as this person, and Uncle Creepy is really just me dialed up to 10.
Yeah.
Anyone who's been at a convention with me knows exactly what I mean by that. Yourself,
I think you fit right in at conventions.
yeah. So, you know, it's been like it's been a wild ride, and the name has sort of become, well, has become synonymous with me. And
So the name was around even during this.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. I had less facial hair when it first started.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a blessing because the name, as strange of a name as Uncle Creepy is, has brought me nothing but good. And a
Yeah.
funny story, when when Dark Horse wanted to re-release the Creepy magazines, they had to go through me because I owned the name. I trademarked it, you know, because it wasn't
Wow.
trademarked.
Is that the same Dark Horse that made Mask the comic book?
I think so. I'm not,
Yeah, Dark Horse Comics. Okay, all right.
but it was kind of cool because of, I mean, listen, of course, please have the name, but
Yeah,
I have the right to use Steve Uncle Creepy Barton. You know what I
right,
mean? Because,
right.
I mean, of course, please reprint that. I want everyone to see, you know, these old sort of like EC style comics that were so fucking important to me in my growing up stage. I don't think I ever really grew up, but it was important when I was young, you know?
Yeah, I don't think any of us ever grew up.
No,
Let me go to comment. Let me go to comments one more time here. See what else is
definitely
here.
not.
Um, Much love, Peter. Creepy's okay. For those of you who don't know, Danielle is Steve's wife. Lovely Danielle.
I met her because of being Uncle Creepy.
Really, Tawny says I think that's David's fiance.
Um, it, it,
Um,
it's
did
it's
you meet her? Where'd you meet her at?
well, my first official job in the industry was it's such a stupid story. You know, the girl I was with at the time, she understood fully that I'm actually a 5-year-old. And, you know, at the dawn of the internet, when things like eBay started popping up, she would go online and look for like cool shit to get me that I would like. So she ended up buying this roaring Jurassic Park cage, which for all intents and purposes was little more than a cardboard box. You press a button, it goes, rah, right? But I'll press that fucking button all day. I love that shit, right?
Yeah.
So the guy who was selling it, he contacted me. He's like, yo, I live down the block, dude. Why don't I just walk it over? And by complete happenstance, it ended up being Tony Timpone, the editor of Fangoria magazine.
Wow.
And this guy walks up to me. I'm like, holy shit, you're Tony, right? And he's like, yeah. And he gave me my first gig in the industry, which was the moderator of the Fangoria message boards. You remember message boards, man?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Danielle was actually one of the first people on the Fangoria message boards that I stayed in touch with for decades,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
never thought I'd marry her. I mean,
Right. So it started like a lot of them start friendship, right?
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then you
the
slid your
world.
way out of the friend zone.
Yeah, well, I was in we were both in relationships,
Yeah.
that went sour for what I mean, nobody's fault, it just that shit happens. Sometimes you grow apart, and it's just what it is. And we both ended up being single at the time when I was getting ready to move back to the East Coast, and it just kind of happened from there. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know, it was a spontaneity to it that ended up in a really
Yeah.
good place.
Yeah. I remember seeing you guys at Monster Mania, and the Monster Mania before she wasn't with you. So I think it was right in between those two is when it happened, if I recall.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah.
like it's funny. I always looked at you at Monster Mania, and because you're a fixture there, as am I.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I this fucking guy, I need to go hang out with him. And I don't even know why. Because I think that out of everybody in the room, we looked like the two people not to fuck with.
Agreed.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So we
Yeah.
just said, hey, let's just be non-fuck withable together.
Yeah. Dude, I must have bought like 30 shots that night. I remember that night. Myra said she barely got up the next day. She had such a headache and she was throwing up all night. So that was a crazy. I people tell me all the time I look like I don't belong at a horror convention, whatever that means. They're like, you don't really fit in. I'm like, I do, and they're like, you're unapproachable. I'm like, well, once you get to know me, I'm pretty cool. I just want to have a good time, you
Yeah,
know?
man.
Yeah,
Everybody's approachable. I mean, that's what I love about this genre, and that's
yeah,
kind of why I made Dread Central when I did, is because, like, I would. Luckily for me, I grew up on the East Coast, so I had shit like Chiller and Monster Mania and fucking the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors when that was a thing. But I always thought, man, what do these people in like Middle America do, to get their
yeah,
fix? Who do they
yeah,
get to hang out with? Do they have friends? So
yeah.
when I created Dread Central, it was to give all these different people all over the world or country or whatever a place where they could just gather and talk about horror movies.
That was my next question. How did you get involved? How did Dread Central come about and take us down the path of everything there? First of all, Holly M. Hi, Steve. Hi, all. And
Hey,
then one more. Black Bio Studios in the house. Michael's a great guy. This is another one I wanted to share with you because this is definitely me. Scariest people are usually the nicest.
it's true.
Yeah. Well, I'm both though, because you saw me get a little mad about something that happened not too long
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, because a guy, it's a hater. He sent the guy to my page to make fun of my movie, and then he jumped on my. You don't know all this. He jumped on my private messages. He started messing with me on private messages. Then I fired back. He takes the fired back, and then he posts it. And oh, this guy's a bad. I don't even want to prove to anybody what happened. It's just like this guy started the whole thing from the get go. But
Me,
once you piss me off, I am pretty nice. But once you piss me off, it's a different level.
everybody is on the same ground with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very respectful. I always try to be respectful. I treat everyone with the same amount of respect. I'm like,
Same here.
I know your side of the story. He's
Yeah.
told me his side of the story. And honestly,
Yeah.
it's not having anything to do with me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah. He
sorry.
was sent he
You
was
know?
sent by that gentleman that that has major problems with us, that always starts with us. He's one of those clones, and he was sent by him. So I deal with it all the time. I just lost my cool one day. It was a bad day, and I
Mhm.
fired back, and and then he can't take it. That's how it is. But hey, Wildest Fan, 80s horror man, I saw your video on Facebook. He's talking about my review of a Violent Nature, in a Violent Nature. I'm sorry. What did you think of it? Because I was pretty harsh on it, even though I had some. It was beautifully shot, cinematography through the roof. The character was great. They missed the ball on story, on acting, on. I know there's no music because you're supposed to see it from his point of view, but man, did they miss out? That wood chipper kill, that he should have been alive for that. Like
Mhm.
there's so many things that were missing for me. I saw the beauty in it, but I don't think it was all together. What do you
I
think?
think it was the closest I've ever been to feeling like a filmmaker was trolling me.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it was so experimental. Let's shoot it in 4:3 and have no soundtrack and just follow the
Yeah.
path of this killer. It was like
Yeah.
playing a third person video game with none of the
Yeah.
excitement.
I
I
think
mean,
they did that so that I get what they're saying. You're supposed to be in his mind, right? Because it's off his shoulder. So he doesn't have music in his mind. And I'm big on show don't tell in movies. And the fact that he had the car and he's playing with the wheels, it basically shows he's unintelligent, that I got a child mind. And they did all that by not telling you, by showing you. And I thought that was well done. And I get you're not going to do the soundtrack. You got to make it quiet, but you could have added sound at the end and you could have had an end. There was no ending. Sorry to go on a tangent. My question to you is, if you're where is the arc for the killer, and where's the arc for the main girl? There is none.
that's one of the problems
Yeah.
of the movie is when you show a movie from the killer's point of view, which is a very original thing to do, and I like that, and
Yeah.
I love the idea of it. But what I didn't realize going in is by doing so, you're also going to almost by default have to negate some of the suspense of the movie.
Yes.
For a slasher movie, you want the killer to pop out of here or do something, and
Right.
to just follow along. And it wasn't even that much that I could have lived with the way it was filmed in 4:3, no soundtrack, whatever, but it was just so plotting.
Yes.
It's like here's 3 minutes of this guy walking in this direction. Then they cut to he's walking in a different area. Here's another 3 minutes
Right.
of that. And
Right.
another I was all in the first kill when he went into the house, and I'm like,
Same
wow,
here.
this is fucking awesome.
Great one shot when he rolled around the house. I thought that was great too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I was like,
Yeah.
this is really cool. I think had they have done the whole movie in like that one Silent House style where it was supposed to be all one shot, it would have been a little bit more successful. But it was just it felt like it needed to be 20 minutes shorter.
Dude, I feel like it was a short. They showed it to somebody. Somebody said it could be a full length film, and then they just kind of filled in
Yeah.
everything else. And my other point too is it's you have to have a mouthpiece if you're not a speaking person. So if
Mm.
you want to see it through his eyes, then you have to, like Kane and Undertaker had Paul Bearer, right? So you're not going to be speaking. You need the manager. Same with Dr. Loomis and Michael, and there was none of that in this one at all. Let alone horrible acting and horrible writing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I love the I number one, I applaud Shudder and everyone behind it at
Yeah.
IFC for taking a chance and
Yeah.
putting a movie like that theatrically. I think that was very
Yeah.
ballsy, and
It
I
was
think it paid
beautiful.
off for them too because they made, I think it was 2 million over the weekend, and that's not
Oh, yeah.
bad. That's actually very
Yeah.
good.
I
So
think I think real quick, the why we're so sorry, I'm so animated about this animated. I think why we're so pissed is it wasn't a shitty C level movie. It was a movie that could have been a Jason replacement in this. We could have had part two, part three in this time period that we're waiting for a new Jason. I think because it was so beautiful and there was elements of greatness, but they missed the ball. I think that's why I'm so upset about it.
it's to me the weirdest thing I can say about it is it's like the movie with the best kills that I wouldn't recommend to anybody.
Yeah, but some were off screen and some were lackluster. It's like they spent really good, that yoga one is phenomenal. But then the other ones were kind of some were great, some weren't. I don't know. I don't know. But
I mean, the yoga kill, that is
yeah,
arguably my favorite kill I've
yeah,
saw in years.
not practical, but good. 80s horror man. If I'm not mistaken, Uncle Creepy was the moderator for the panel discussion on Victor Crowley at the Sons of Monsterpalooza, which I watched on YouTube. I thought it was a good panel. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm very associated with the Hatchet franchise. I was in Hatchet 2, and
Where were
Adam,
you into?
I was one of the hunters.
What the fuck? I got to go back and watch that.
I was there.
Not with Freddie and his son.
I'll tell you a fucking
That was cool.
story about that. Fucking Adam, I love Adam Green. Me and Adam,
Yeah,
we go.
good guy.
I practically lived with Adam for 2 months. But the scene, it was when Tony Todd was trying to convince all of the hunters that they should follow him into the swamp and take care of his.
Oh, in the room when he's pitching the whole thing. Okay, okay, I
So
got
there's
it.
a moment where uh, I think it was Parry Shen was handing out cookies,
Yeah, and milk.
right? No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
there was no
Oh,
fucking
that's right. That's why the guy was mad. Sorry. Yeah,
right. So
yeah,
I was furious, right? Because Adam's shooting coverage from every conceivable fucking angle. And we ended up eating like 18 chocolate chip cookies with no fucking drink, no water, no nothing.
yeah,
And it took like 3 hours. And like, I don't know, like after cookie 8, it was just chocolate sand.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
At the last show I did, it was funny. One of the fans, Tammy and Alicia, such great people. They actually brought me a package of chocolate chip cookies, and I went and fucking threw it at Adam. Like, yeah, you fuck with your cookies. And that turned into a whole day long fucking thing. It was
There
amazing.
was that one actor, comedian guy, kind of chubby guy. Remember he was being
Oh
funny
yeah,
eating the
yeah.
cookies.
It's the
Yeah, yeah.
cookies.
And then R.A. Milhoff, he was a great dude too. I partied
I
with
think
him
I
at.
was, if I remember right, I was sitting right next to Lloyd Kaufman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch that scene at that time, it was like a who's who in the genre because there was
Yeah.
Dave Parker, there was Mike
Oh
Mendez,
yeah.
there was all those cats, and we were all just eating fucking cookies and just annoyed, But
Yeah.
it was a magical. And Adam credits me with starting the Hatchet Army. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it was a stupid idea, and
Great idea.
well,
Great idea.
he's like, but it's filmmakers like him and yourself which put together these things that end up being memorable that people get behind.
Yeah.
So for me to be associated with Hatchet in any way, it was an
Yeah.
honor. In ways, it's an honor for me to be associated with whatever you're doing. You
Thank you.
guys have a clear vision of what you want, and you don't bullshit. You go out there and you fucking do it, and that's the only way to
Yeah.
do it.
Exactly.
People always ask me, "How do you do this? How do you do that?" You just go do it.
Just do it.
And
Nothing's like learning on the job.
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And
But by
Lloyd
the way,
knows,
Perry Shan, how amazing is Perry Shan in all those
he's
those
a
movies, dude? He's
he's
phenomenal.
the nicest guy. He really
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and he's so funny, like all of the time. He really is.
Yeah.
And what happened, I think, for Victor Crowley is they were supposed to be showing at the Chinese Theater in LA the 10th anniversary of Hatchet.
Yes.
And what no one knew except for like me and like only the crew was that they had filmed Victor Crowley, right?
They released it. Yeah, part 4.
And
Yeah.
it was that night where I took the stage with Adam and the cast, and I'm like, well, we got something a little different to show you tonight. You're not going to see Hatchet. You're going to see the new Victor Crowley. And the crowd went,
Oh yeah. I saw that. Somebody recorded that from the crowd.
yeah.
I saw that, dude. That was imagine I would have been so happy to be there. Amazing.
Oh, dude,
Amazing.
it was like, and you know what's funny too? You fart in LA and you try to keep it a secret. It's not a
Yeah.
secret, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
managed to keep that so quiet for so long, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it stayed a secret. Everybody's mind was so fucking blown when that
I
happened.
love I love the phone kill with Felissa when he shoves it in her and it's still working.
Yeah,
That was a great one,
I
dude.
love Felissa. Felissa, she, God, she's so beautiful. It's still to this day.
She has the
I don't,
energy of a 20-year-old.
yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
her and Barbara Crampton age like
No,
at all, like ever.
ever.
And they're just two of my favorite. And Felissa just has so much energy, and it's like she's one of those people that just radiate positivity. And
And
it's
it's
just,
genuine.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's
loves
genuine.
this stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
genuine. So like I said to you before, I just tell the truth. I'm not a liar. The book, I was like, man, I got to get this book. It's 24 chapters and 365 pages, and I did not get to complete the book. So I don't want to half-ass speak on the book. Normally, I have notes and highlighted. It's just everything's been crazy with me lately with my health and all kinds of bunch of stuff going on. So I don't want to
dude,
disrespect you and lie and say I read it and I
your,
didn't. I did get a little in, but
your health is the most important thing.
yeah,
Everyone's health is the most important thing.
yeah.
Uh, you know,
But
it's
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no good.
I want you to tell me about the book. Well, let me just start with the book, and then you can dive into it. Um, I looked at the book and I was reading in the beginning, and your shout outs to everybody, thanking everybody. I had to print these out because there was so many of them, but just a couple names that Steve wanted to thank as part of his success and the book: John Carpenter, Kevin Smith, Adam Green, Malika Akkad, Adrian Barbeau, Ken Foray, Doug Bradley, Adrian King, Barbara Crampton. The list goes on and on and on and on. Also, you put me in there, man. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh man, he put me in there. What an honor like that. But what is it? I'm assuming there's a mix of gratitude and a bit of awe. Like I know you're a humble guy too, but I know at some point when you write it, you had to look at it like, holy shit, this is my life, along with the gratitude. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, when putting together the acknowledgments, I really tried to sit there and have as much introspection as possible. And I thought about everyone who did everything for me, and the people who are I consider absolute legends in the industry that I'm happy to call my friends,
Yep.
and to be mentored by Sid Haig and George Romero and all that. I mean, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. So what I wanted to do was acknowledge everyone that did anything for me, big and small. So the acknowledgments is like 3 pages,
Yep.
but I mean every one of them. Every one of them is from my heart, and everyone who's mentioned I consider to be very special, yourself included. You've
Thank you.
all done things for me and lifted me up when I needed it. And, me mentioning, listen, I don't know whatever's gonna happen in my life from here on, but I do know if I die tomorrow, at least the people who hooked me up knows I cared, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
to me, that's the most important thing. I care. I genuinely do. It wasn't like a list of people that I just didn't really, I was trying to throw out there. It was just these are the people that just touched my life in several different ways. And I just wanted to say, hey man, you were appreciated genuinely,
Yeah.
So yeah, I was surprised how long that fucking went because I just kept going. I'm like, oh, there's this one and this one. But it's funny you talk about health because I wrote that book for my health. You know,
For your mental health.
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of demons that still rattle around in here. I think we all do. My story isn't unique in that respect, but
Correct.
I tried to do the psychological thing, and I wrote out all of this shit that I went through and all of this shit that happened to me. And I think a lot of I've been so blessed by the reaction. It's very humbling, but I don't think anyone was prepared for how personal the story is. I mean,
Right.
you're going to get Steve giving you industry stories and fucking what it's like to do this or that. That stuff is in there, but it's also a very personal story about struggles that we all have to deal with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wrote that. I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get all of this shit out of me, right?
Right. Right.
And I'm going to fucking burn it. I'm just going to
Yeah.
fucking burn it. It's gone, right?
Yeah.
And I got here, and by the time I moved back to the East Coast, I had written half of it. I was like right in the middle of it. And I was sitting here working one day, and Danielle walks over to me and she's like, "Hey, so that book you're writing?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Can I read what you've written?" I'm like, "Why? You know everything about me, I mean, what is there? There's nothing to gain." And
Right.
she's like, "Well, I'm curious." I'm like, "Okay." So I let her read it. And she came back like a couple of hours later and she's like, "You can't burn this." And I'm like, "Well, why?" She goes, "Because it's fucking good. And there are going to be people out there who are at the end of their rope, like you were several times, that are going to be able to relate to this and feel something for it." She goes, "This book has the possibility of actually helping people to
Right.
realize that shit gets bad sometimes, man, but you can just push through it." It again, it's not a unique story. My dad was an alcoholic. He was very abusive. I found my mom dead when I was 17. My dad committed suicide eventually. I lost my best friend on 9/11.
Wow.
And I don't want to make it sound like the book is a total bummer because it's total gallows humor. Like, yeah, all this really fucked up shit happened, but I put it in a way where it's not overbearing and it never comes across as whiny. I don't think
Right.
poor me, I think this shit happened. It's just what happened. Here's what I did afterward.
Correct.
And so once she said that, I thought about it and I said, okay. And I just picked it up and I started writing again. And over the course of 4 years, it was completed. And I was just about set to self-publish it because I didn't think anybody would be interested. And you really
Yeah.
don't think anybody's interested in your shit, especially
Right.
your life story. Anytime anybody comes up to me and says, "Oh yeah, man, I'm writing my own autobiography," and this isn't slander or it isn't a diss, it's like I always think to myself immediately, what makes you think your life is so interesting that
Right.
folks want to read about. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way like, I'm curious. Tell me,
Yeah.
please.
And how
So
did it change you, these events? That's the other part.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I never considered my life interesting because it was just my life, you know?
Mhm.
So everything in that book, is fucked up as it is, was like normal for me, you
Right.
know? But the reactions I've been getting from people like Adrian Barbeau, from people like fucking Mike Felcher, it's weird because like, people are reading your life. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, how do
Yeah.
you judge somebody's life? It's difficult.
100%. Yeah.
So, I
How
mean,
you judge your life would change from when you're 20, 30, 40. You get it? Even that alone is changes from
yeah,
your own view.
totally.
Yeah. And real
So,
quick, this is the book right here. Steve Uncle Creepy Barton, A Comedy of Tragedies, an American memoir for the completely dysfunctional. I love it. And tell us what you got, that same neck roll that I got in the back of my head, bro. Dude, I went to a wedding once and my brother the next day gave me a picture of me hugging him like in a frame, right? A week later. And I was like, is that what the back of my head looks like? He's like, yeah. I'm like, why didn't nobody tell me that? I'm like, why does anybody talk to me? I'm like, what is that thing? You could run a credit card on it, you
I've
know?
become very acquainted with the back of my own head lately. It's strange. It's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is that?
And then where can you get it? Because I put it in the YouTube. It's in the comments and the link is in the bottom. But to tell
The
the audience where you can get it.
pre-order is available right now at the publisher's website. It's encyclopocalypse.com. And what's cool is if you pre-order it, whether it's the hardcover or the soft cover, it doesn't matter. You get a book plate. And I'm like, what the fuck is a book plate, right? But it
Yeah.
turns out what it is they give you like, they're going to send me like a roll of stuff and I'm going to sign them and they're going to put the signed, that's what they call a book plate, on each copy that's pre-ordered. And not only that, you get the book 2 weeks early from release date. You get a free digital copy of the book. So there's a lot of incentive to pre-order. And I think that's super fucking cool. And also, and this is the biggest blessing in the world, man. Um, One of my good friends is an actor. His name is Mark Redfield, salt of the earth guy. And I love him so much. And Mark has a voice that just want to live in a house that's made of it. You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
was last seen in House of Usher on Netflix. And he asked to read the book, and I sent it to him. And he's like, I want to, because I was like, maybe he has his own audio studio that he does audiobooks on. He does a lot of really cool shit. So I'm like, hey, maybe you'd want to do this, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote me back after he read it, and he's like, I don't just want to narrate this, I want to perform this,
Right.
because everything is written from such a first person perspective, so he wants to actually not only read it, but he wants to actually perform it, which fucking blows my mind. And I
Wow.
know there are going to be some people like, well, why don't you narrate it? Motherfucker, I lived it, I
Yeah.
wrote it, I don't have to read it too, do I have to do all the goddamn work? But the
Right.
honest answer is, in order for me to do justice to a lot of moments in my life, I had to open up these doors, which I've kept shut for
Yeah.
so long, and take a peek back in. And that was fucking horrifying for me personally. So I don't think I could read it without feeling that again. And I don't want to feel that no more.
Yeah.
I got it out there like the psychologist said you should. And it's there for people. And you know what? If Danielle was right, and I do believe maybe she is, because, you know, she's a very smart woman, but if just one person, one fucking person, that's all I want, who's feeling shitty or feeling like this is it, everything fucked up and I hate it. And if one person can read something that's in that book and find it relatable and find some form of comfort or help, then it was all worth it, man. And I
Yeah.
take everything that I did and I wouldn't change a single thing.
Yeah.
It's just, you and I, we have demons now that we're battling. All my current demons are currently in that book too. And
Yeah.
it's just been, it's a very humbling experience. It's something I don't know how to react to,
Right.
kind of, can you imagine waking up one day and knowing that everyone in the world has to now have the opportunity to know every single thing about you just short of the size of my dick. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's
Yeah.
fucking nuts. So
Yeah.
it's cool. I hope people dig it. I hope they enjoy it. It's a very interactive book. You know, there's a ton of pictures. There's things for people that I ask people to do while they're reading. It's just
Yeah.
like a
I,
fuck.
I, I have some of the pictures here, but I want to jump into these fans here. David Rand, I'm going to have to pre-order it.
Thank you,
So I
man.
wanted to say thank you for that. And Mark Benesett, who also has a show called Talking Shit, and now I'm going to have to go buy the book. So
Thank
that
you.
that was pretty
I
cool.
appreciate
By the way, I ran a little banner on the bottom. I don't think you saw it when I was talking. Let me just run it again right here.
that.
I tried to sneak it in when you were talking. I wanted to see if you were going to see it or not.
Yeah,
Oh man.
you would
Oh.
disagree.
Nah, it's just busting balls. Oh, and then I have some of the pictures from the book.
Careful
This one is
what you
this
show.
one is
That one's fine. That one you'll relate to because that
yeah,
one,
yeah.
one of my, if you could actually read that shit, it's fucking hilarious. But
You want me to read it out loud?
can you read that text? I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah. On December 30th, 2008, around 5:05 p.m., the suspect entered Karloff's General Store at 330 Cunningham Road in Crystal Lake. The suspect proceeded to threaten, gesture, and shout obscenities to the store clerks along with minor property damage. The suspect, who was intoxicated and completely naked, then fled the scene. Crystal Lake Sheriff's Deputy Department have obtained warrants for the arrest of Steve Uncle Creepy Barton. Six? You're not 6'2"?
No, but thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm furnished challenged, dude. That's all bullshit. Maybe not the causing
yeah,
trouble thing, but
yeah.
that is actually so cool because that Dan Farrens actually wrote that and made that image. Dan Farrens was the co-director of Never Sleep Again, and he wrote the Halloween 6, and the producer's cut. That's Dan's cut of the film. And so when we were doing Never Sleep Again, and his name was Jason, Paramount had contacted Dan to do the special features for the Blu-ray re-releases of Friday the 13th. And there was one that was like a little bit of a story kind of that goes from Blu-ray to Blu-ray, and that wanted poster is hanging in the sheriff's office in one of the spots.
Wow. One more comment, and then I have some more pictures. Amy Rothstein, Steve, you're doing some amazing things with Bloody Bites. Congratulations. Please explain that.
There's I'm hungry. No, you know what it is, dude? It's like since leaving Dread Central, I have this bug and it just fucking nags at me, dude. And it's just what I miss the most of leaving Dread Central is Dread Central gave me the opportunity to connect with filmmakers, especially indie filmmakers. And the overall objective for Dread Central was things that I wanted to make sure that the indie filmmaker had as much of a voice as the studio filmmaker.
Right.
And we were the only site to really be doing that. So that's where I kind of made my bones. And I would love when filmmakers would send me shorts and stuff like that. And I miss doing that, man. And especially now, because now that, filmmaking has gotten easier. I mean, you could shoot a movie on your iPhone,
Yeah.
it on your Mac, you're good.
Yeah.
Now that it's gotten easier, there's a lot of white noise out there because, as you well know, just because, someone gives you cheese, sauce, and dough doesn't mean they can make a pizza,
No.
you know.
Yeah.
But to get to these shorts for these indie filmmakers that mean something, that are really good, and they just need a chance for somebody to see it.
That's what Bloody Bites is? Is that what you're
Well,
going with?
it's one of them. It's just I right now one of my focuses is I'm working with a producer named Jesse Baget to release short films for filmmakers who just needed to be seen on a different level. Because short films, as you know, if you made one, you
Yeah.
got your lifespan is finite, and that's what sucks about it. Unless people are really looking for it. So
Right.
there are these short films out there that once you do your festival run and once you do this, maybe you do a limited run of the DVDs, whatever. you just sit there, and it just sits there in obscurity, and because there's so much white noise, it's harder for people to just go and find the good shorts that they want to watch. So what I do with Jesse is and one of them is an example now. It's streaming on Tubi, All Hallows Eve Trickster.
Okay.
Jesse came to me a few months ago, and he's like, "Hey, man, I need a couple of shorts to finish this anthology. Do you know anybody?" A couple of the filmmakers had dropped out on them, or they couldn't finish, or whatever the case may be. So I said to him, "Of course I got you." So I sent him a couple of hey, Q, love that man.
Yeah.
So
So
anyway,
Bloody Bites, again, just because I don't know and the fans don't know when they're listening, Bloody Bites does this for you. It
well,
shows short.
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
only Bloody Bice. There's several anthologies that I'm working
Okay. Okay, I got it now.
of putting together indie films that didn't get a chance to be seen past their festival run.
Okay.
What we're doing now is we're putting them into anthologies, or even sometimes a series, and making a package out of them and giving them, or working with Tubi to play them. And if they do well, we're going to put them on DVD and Blu-ray and physical media. But
Yep.
it excites me that, much like how Damien Leone used All Hallows Eve pretty much as his calling card and proof of concept for Terrifier, that other filmmakers who desperately need that chance have it. You know, so that's what things like that are really about for me, and that enables me to scratch that itch and help the indie filmmaker. So
That's a great thing.
yeah, man. I mean, it's about give. Listen, I don't exist at all without people like you, without the fans, without just this community. And the horror filmmaking community is just so tight knit,
Yeah.
and it's just so small, but it's so fucking vital to who we are. Because as a horror fan, this shit ain't a fucking hobby.
It's literally a lifeline for many
Yeah,
of us.
dude. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
bleed for this shit, bro. We
Yeah. Yeah.
bleed. I got Romero's glasses tattooed on my fucking arm. I don't see many people with fucking Spock tattoos, even though I
Yeah.
love Star Trek. But
Yeah.
horror fans, we're different. We're built different. We really are.
Yeah.
Because we not only love this shit, we're just so passionate about it.
Yeah. Speaking of the names you said, I'm going to hopefully these pictures are okay. They're just two pictures in the middle of your book about celebrities. So that's okay to show. Is that correct? Um, I just wanted you to, it's not basically about the book, but so the next two questions is I'm going to show you a picture and then you tell me what that means to you. So the first one up is this.
Wow.
So I know that one's personal, and I know that's when he was sick there. What does Mr. Haig, Sid Haig, mean to you in your relationship? And if you can give the fans insight into that.
Sid was like nobody on this planet. He was such a good person. He always treated everyone much like how I try to. I've learned so much from him and George. And that picture was the last time that I saw Sid, because he had died a couple weeks later. You
Yeah.
know, and I actually have the first picture when I met him, and I think it's like juxtaposition between them two. But like I said, I mean, when you have, how fucking lucky am I, man? I had Sid Haig and George Romero mentor me. That's
Right.
like fucking that's like fucking Bigfoot deeming you cool enough to know he really exists, right?
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
had these amazing fucking people that I could just pick up the phone and go, dude, I got a problem. I need help. And they would tell me what to do. So they both, in their own ways, they taught me how to survive in this industry, and they taught me how to treat people, and how to expect to be treated, and how to say whenever necessary, fuck you. And I think that was the biggest takeaway. They taught me how to live in a lot of
Right.
ways, because my dad was never there. George raised me, he didn't even know it. And I
Yeah.
told George that, I grew up. My moral compass is from watching Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Creepshow, Martin, The Crazies. Those were the movies that I kind of got my, I guess, grasp on right and wrong from.
Yeah.
So when I got older in my life, and all of a sudden I got to have these fucking legends in my life for about 10 years each, I mean, they were just what made them legendary is they never bought into that whole thing of being a legend, even though they very much were. They
Yeah.
were just George and Sid to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And fuck, dude. One of my favorite things is I did a commentary with George, and Michael Felsher recorded it, and we did it in George's living room for Survival of the Dead, which I played one of the main zombies in. And you know, it's the most different Romero commentary you're ever going to hear, because Mike knew that George and I were close, and Mike was very close with George as well. So George was a
One second, because that was my next question was him.
yeah,
And it's just that I can never get you on one subject, and I kind of like it because you're like me. I'm like, I'm going to ask him about Sid, and then I'm going to ask him about George. I go, I bet you that fucker rolls right into George before I played a picture. But
yeah, man.
he said, by the way, I spoke with him at Connecticut Horror Fest 6 months before he died. He's born the town over in Cuba where my mother was from, and he
Wow.
pulled me in and sat down, not to cut your story off, and talked for a half hour. I forgot how big that guy is. Well, even at that age, he's a huge guy. So keep going with George. I just wanted to say that was another influence I know.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
so we're sitting there and we're recording this fucking commentary, and unfortunately, Magnet, who released Survival of the Dead, they decided to make it a BD Live downloadable feature and blah blah blah, where you'd have to put the disc in your fucking Blu-ray player to get the commentary. You'd have to download it from the website, and it was so stupid. I hope somebody actually makes a proper special edition of it so they can include that commentary. I mean, I have the audio track, and so
yep,
does Mike, and that was just such a different side of George than the usual one, but because he was sitting with Mike and I,
yeah,
totally comfortable. You know,
yeah, yeah.
you listen to the commentary, and at first we're talking about the movie, and then you'll notice you hear some clinking and glasses, and every now and then, and by the time of the fucking we get to the end of the commentary, we're fucking drunk off our faces, right? And we talk about everything from the movie, and at the end of the movie, we're talking about Led Zeppelin. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just such a funny, warm commentary that I really hope more people get a chance to hear, man.
Yeah, and we got about 15 minutes left, but imagine inventing an entire genre of horror. Imagine, like, no one who's done that. Like, I mean, maybe Universal at first was that, and then you invented your own, which literally 1,000 movies have come out of.
Yeah.
Just amazing. A fan here, 80s Horror Man, has this question for you. Hey, Steve, what was it like when Kane Hodder snuck up on you and got you in a chokehold during the panel discussion on Victor Crowley at the Sons of Monsterpalooza? Your reaction was priceless.
He loves choking me for some fucking reason. I don't know.
Yeah, he punched me. I said hello to VC Dupree from Part 8, and Kane, I don't know if you saw the picture. Kane came out and literally punched me in the side of the head while I was talking to him.
You
But
know,
it's an honor. It's an honor.
Kane he's a beautiful human being. We've been friends for a very long time. Um, when Kane feels comfortable enough to do that to you, it's just because he
Yeah,
loves you.
exactly.
And he thinks that you're cool enough to be for him to rabble rouse with you. You know what a fucking ridiculous Kane story? We were
Shoot.
doing this fucking movie that never saw the light of day called Monster Piece Theater Volume 1. And Kane is a stunt driver, right? And so we're in Arizona on the set, and he goes, "Hey, creepy, come here." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Get in the car." So I get in the car, and he starts driving like a fucking madman, and I'm holding on for like dear life. I think I left that car white as a sheet, but and he giggled his ass off, of course. But
Oh yeah, he
he's
finds that stuff funny.
he.
Yeah, like
There's
he
nobody
knows.
like him. He's
No,
Kane,
he knows I hate the word PD, and of course he calls me PD now all the
of
time just to
course.
be a dick about it. But that means he likes you.
Yeah. If
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
he calls you, if he curses you out, if he calls you a dick, if he calls you something he knows you hate, or if he strangles and or punches you, he loves you.
yeah. He choked me at Rock and Shock one year, dude. I was about 2 seconds from going out. It was the first time I met him, and I was like, well, he had it pretty good on me, And I had a big neck then. I was like, man, this
One
is fucking
time,
serious.
one time he got me so good that my fucking windpipe was like fucking hurting. I could barely talk for like a week. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, Kane.
Hey, the wife here, Kane told me I needed to seriously reevaluate my life choices when he found out I was dating Steve. I believe that very
He's
much.
not wrong. And then when he found out that she married me, he was like, you know what? You really should have reevaluated those fucking life choices. You haven't learned anything, girl.
All right, two last things, and then what I call my new thing is called Unlucky Seven. It'll be a rapid response. So instead of Unlucky 13, it's Unlucky Seven. But two things before that. One, tell me about this little project and I just want to get your take on how it was that day, that night for playing, and tell the fans what this role was for you.
Yeah, that is for a little film called Laugh. And you know, when you meet somebody, regardless of what anybody says about them or what everyone's opinion is, when you meet somebody and their passion is in the right place, it's evident. You can see it. And when I met you and I watched Roseblood, I said, wow, this cat, he loves this stuff. So when you were like, hey, man, you want to deliver a baby in my movie? I'm like, well, I'm
The
not about
devil's
it.
baby. The
Yeah.
devil's baby. Yeah.
I'm like, who else would you ask to deliver the devil's baby?
Yeah.
I was
Married by Father Evil too. It's just
married
you
with
two are
my,
perfect for that.
yeah.
Perfect.
And it was,
Yeah.
and getting to see you work was a pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
getting to see Q work, that dude blew me away, man. I can't
Uh,
wait to make something with that cat one day.
oh, you just made his life with that
No,
statement.
serious.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is so, and you're just so three-dimensional, man. You can be scary, you can be serious, you can be thoughtful, and just watching the range of emotion that you were going through, both as an actor on that project and a director, it was really cool to see. And I was like, wow, man, I'm lucky to fucking be here. I'm lucky
Oh,
to know
thanks.
this guy.
I
And
thought I was in a lot of pain. So I thought I was being not my normal self, but I hopefully I was okay. But
yeah,
I was
you were
yeah.
beautiful. Plus, I got to watch my wife dance to
Yeah, I was
silent.
gonna say Danielle was looking quite sexy over there dancing. I think
Oh,
she had the striped dress, lined
yeah.
dress, right?
I was
Yeah,
like, why
yeah.
don't you put that back on when we get home?
Did you now you were at the same table as Terry Kaiser. I mean, obviously I was working. I didn't, but did you shoot the shit
Hey,
with Terry at all?
I didn't. You know why?
Oh, wow.
Because he was watching you and watching the scene and watching you direct, and I could see how much pleasure he was taking from it, and I
Yeah,
didn't want to interrupt that. I
yeah,
wanted him to sit and enjoy what he was doing rather than say, "Hey, how you doing?" I mean, I said hello to him, of course, but
yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt him of watching you because he loves this business. He
He
loves the game.
loves it.
So
He's such a great friend, man. We talk all the time. He made a movie 2 years ago, and before the final edit, he sent it to me and said, "What are your decisions on this and that?" I'm like, "Me? Like you with George Romero." I'm like, "You want me a decision on this?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And he just amazing. I'm like, I almost get mad. I'm like, I don't deserve that. Like, why are you giving it to me? You know what I'm
well,
saying?
you know what?
Yeah,
I think it's the people who think that they're the most undeserving are the people that really are deserving. And I think he saw that in you. And I think George and Sid probably saw that in me. At least I
yeah,
like to think so because I know I made them laugh, but
yeah,
I was
yeah,
also I was a very loyal friend to them,
yeah.
and they were very loyal to me. And I love those cats and I love you. And that particular time was a privilege. I had a great time.
Yeah, me too. I was running around because we had to get. I mean, you know how it is on set. It's like guerrilla warfare, trying
Yeah.
to get everything done for a certain time. We only have the place for a certain time, and I wanted to get this overhead shot, but we just didn't have the time. But yeah, you delivered a demonic devil baby better than anybody ever. I don't think we got the blood squirt exactly how I wanted it, but it worked out in the end. That's what people don't understand on set. Like Jason Brooks is great with special effects and everything, but in special effects, I don't care who you are. It very rarely goes perfect in every single kill the way you want
Never.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when you have a low budget film like Rosebud, you go through a wall once. We only got the one wall, so you got to kind of get. And then Sanchez with the weed eater, it was supposed to cut her in half. It bounced off her. You're like, oh, what the fuck are we gonna do with this? But that's just the way it is with
You
indie
want, you
film.
want to talk
Yeah,
about pressure real quick?
Yeah.
So when I was on the fucking, I never knew I was going to do like the main kill on Survival of the Dead. That was sprung on me about 5 minutes before it happened by George. I was very happy being background zombie guy, you know?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
George comes up to me and he tells me, he's like, all right, Steve, we got one body, we got one take to do this in, and you're up. And I'm like, I'm what? So,
Yeah.
what? Right? Now, what nobody realized, they had this body that was so fucking intricate. And the scene was me and Mike Felsher and a few other people was just to dig in and pull it apart and, eat. And if you're a fucking zombie for Romero and you get to eat,
Yeah.
biggest honor in the world, right?
Ever. Ever. Yeah.
So what nobody realized is it was like fucking 30 below in Canada while we were filming that. So
Jeez.
the body was frozen. And we had one take and we could barely get our hands into it. Right. And me and Mike are like looking at each other, like, fuck, it's frozen. Right. So we had to really get in there and start tearing to get it to come apart. And the second the fucking blood started squirting, it would freeze on our hands,
Yeah.
And then we started bleeding. We couldn't know whether the blood was ours or the blood was fake. But when George says you have one take and all of a sudden the fucking body's frozen, dude, I almost shit myself.
Yeah. You don't want to be the one that fucks up.
No, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had the whole take on the Blu-ray. It took almost 4 minutes to tear that body apart.
Questions, and then my final 7 here. Q answered some stuff. Kane told, oh, no, I'm sorry, that was before. Q reviews. Kane choked my wife on our first date. I feel bad because he does it better than me. That was great. Danielle, great day on set. Yeah, thanks. I felt bad because we had so much going. Hurry up and wait is the movie thing. You hurry up and then wait for a while. But you got to get the right shots. The way it is.
Mhm.
Danielle was great. I got video, man. I'll send it to you guys. I heard jamming out, shaking her booty in the dance floor. Danielle Martin, hell yeah, it was. And Q. I'm going to cry, Steve. Thank you so much. Means everything, bro. When we got back to the house that night, I couldn't go to sleep because I had to lay on my pillow with my makeup straight. And then 3 hours later, we went to a strip club bathroom, is where we shot the next scene. And he told me, he's like, man, he's like, can you believe Steve Barton came up to me, man, and said I did a great job? I'm like, he did. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you did a good job. He's like, oh man, he was saying I was doing great. It made my day. So he totally loves that. You really reached out to him.
You should really, when someone, it only takes a second to tell somebody they did something good, and he did. And
Right.
I'm a big advocate of telling the people that are busting their asses, especially like he was, dude. Anything you asked him to do, he did, and then some. He was looking for shit to do to make your life easier. And how about not be impressed by that? That is a fucking worker. So
Yes.
you got all my respect, man.
Yeah, most of my crew is like that too. I'm lucky. They're pretty hard workers. One more. Oh man, now my mouse is messing up. Oh, don't do this to me. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Q says I need to have beers with this guy.
Yes.
And then Danielle says, come on over. Q lives in Detroit, so it's not like an easy drive. I think this gentleman was laughing at the choking.
Probably.
This Danielle, I can't wait. And then Amy, one more time. Great show, you guys. Good to see you both. Thank you. Amy's the best. I was supposed to meet up with Amy. She was shooting a movie here right in my hometown, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. She didn't make it out. But all right, unlucky 7. So let's do it. Hold on. One more by David Rand, my friend. Friday 13th, the Romero zombies raised me. True, man. True. Okay, dude. Some of these are off the wall. All right, so we're gonna run through it. Steve Barton, unlucky 7. Let's go. Favorite sexual position?
All of them.
Okay. Your wife's like listening. What's going on?
Out her, so I'm just gonna say all of them.
The Exorcist or The Conjuring?
The Exorcist.
Favorite convention of all time, meaning like the day you were there, not in general over the years.
The date I was there. Oh,
like what convention, what date, what number, what?
I had a blast at the last New Jersey Horror Con, man. I had a lot of fun at that show.
Cool. Yeah. Most overrated horror film and most underrated horror film in history.
That's a great fucking question.
Yeah. See, I'm not making all softballs. There's you got to knock some people on some of these.
Overrated. It Follows.
Yep.
Didn't like it. Did not. It didn't follow me. Let me tell you something. Underrated. You know, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people that kind of hate it, and I hated it too at first. But I think there's a little bit of value in that last prequel for The Thing, and I really enjoyed it. I hated it when I first saw it, but then once I had a chance to live with it for a little while, I've watched it like dozens of
Yeah,
times since then. I really dig it, and I like watching it right before The Thing. You
me
know,
too.
like,
They just missed the boat like the other film we were speaking of. It's just they could have been so much better. Especially, did you see real quick? They did all the practical effects in that. Practical, they shot them and then just didn't use them. All right,
you
but let's
know
keep going.
why? I could tell you why.
I forgot. They said it. I forgot. But tell me another time. I'm trying to get through this thing. Favorite Ice Nine Kill song?
I don't really have one.
Oh, really?
I ain't gonna lie.
Uh,
I've listened to Ice Nine Kills a couple of times, but I've never really gotten into their catalog. But it's something
yeah,
that's on my agenda to do.
phenomenal, bro. Me and Terry Kaiser went to their concert. I'm sitting here with how do I forget her name every single time? The girl from Part Four, real pretty, got naked. Um, the
And
legendary actress. She was in um. Oh my God, bro.
Friday 4?
Yes.
God, who didn't get naked in Friday 4?
Anyways, her, Diana Prince, Jericho. We just had a great time watching that
Mhm.
concert. Here's the next question, the second to last. Kane Hodder or Ted White?
Oh God, Kane Hodder. I don't even have to think about it, dude.
Okay, okay.
He's my favorite
And
Jason.
me too. But Ted was
That
classic and a
was
legend.
awesome.
Yeah. All right, here's a little different one. We went all over the board. If you could say one thing to a lost loved one, who would it be and what would you say?
I lost my best friend Dave on September 11th. And if I could say one thing to him right now, number one, I would say thank you for being an angel on my shoulder because I am in no way, shape, or form smart enough to make it where I made it to at this point. So I'm thankful he definitely interceded on my behalf a few times. And one of the things I've done for Dave is I always try to, no matter what, make people remember that he was here. And I dedicated my career to him. And I always do because he's not here to live his best life. So I feel like I have to live it for him. And I would say to him, I hope I made you proud, brother, and I miss you and I love you.
That's great, man. That's great. I know what it feels like. So that's a great thing. I wanted to give you that opportunity.
Appreciate it.
Um, no problem. I don't know what this means. Judy. Oh, Judy Aronson. That's who it was. Julia Aronson. That's who was next to me. And that great job. That's it. So anything you want to tell the fans? Do you have any? You're always so busy with stuff. Do you have any projects coming up, producing or acting? I know you got what 16 acting credits, 14 producing credits. You've been everywhere. All about. I know you're coming out with Laugh, and eventually when I get around to that in 2025.
Mhm.
And what do you got to tell the fans? Where can they see you? Where can they follow you? Where can they get more of Uncle Creepy?
I'm on Instagram at Uncle Creepy SB. I'm on Twitter at Uncle Creepy. I'm on Facebook at Steve. That was bad, man. I had to make it a Facebook fan page for myself. I felt so dirty because
Yeah,
I had over 5,000 friends and I couldn't add anybody anymore. But I'm
yeah.
on there as Steve Uncle Creepy Barton. And I'm on TikTok as Uncle Creepy Steve Barton.
Okay. Awesome, man. I try to keep it to an hour. That's why I rush. I hate
No
keeping people for
worries.
2. I've been on interviews and people keep me for 3 hours, and I'm just like, oh man, we got to make quality content here. We can't just do it. I'm going to be, unless I get my second knee replacement, I'm going to be at Monster Mania in August. We have rooms ready. You going to be there?
I will be there.
You and Daniel. You stay there, right?
No, we live 10 minutes away.
Oh shit! So you're there that late, like 3 in the morning at the bar with me when you live 10 minutes away? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just chilling.
And real quick before we go, tell me that there's no other better place than Monster Mania for a convention, and I'll explain why.
It's so
Conventions are great, but mostly they're in like a warehouse and they're in a square auditorium kind of feeling. The great thing about Monster Mania is everybody then goes to the huge lobby, which is humongous, where then you have a restaurant, you have the bar, you have the hotels going to the room. It becomes a party up until like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning sometimes out there. I think that's why Monster Mania is more family feel than other ones.
absolutely. Monster Mania is so much fun. because of that. Because you work so hard, or you're spending the whole day trying to get your photo ops in or do whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're fucking at a party and it's cool and everybody's chilling. So yeah,
Yeah. I want to say thank you so much to Val and Jerry for my moderators for constantly posting and helping out. Um, Make sure to hit a like and a follow. Thank you for joining us also, Val and Steve. Thank you so much, Steve, for taking on the show. Next time we'll have you on again. I'll have a little bit more on the book and some more stuff. And hey, look at I had the mask made for the Reaper, bro.
that's fucking badass. I was looking at that before.
Yeah, that's Rick.
Are you
Rick's
beating people up?
no, bro. It's just
Are
the funny thing is Q will tell you. Yeah, yeah,
Come
maybe.
on, I
Q
made you in 2K24. You have to be beating people up.
Oh, like that. Yeah, yeah. I beat people up in 2K24. Another time I'll tell you the story with Q when we went to Terry's hotel to read lines for Laugh. And when we left the hotel, he was showing me pictures. We're at a red light. And he's like, hey man, check out this video and pictures of you and Terry. I was like, oh, that's cool. Long story short, a guy pulled up next to me and tried to start with me. And Q will tell you the story. I basically lost my entire mind. And I went 3 lanes over. I tried to put the guy into a tree outside the no lie, and then swerved back. We almost hit somebody, and I was drooling and everything. And I don't realize that when I get out, I can barely walk. So I'm
Yeah.
like pretty much going to get my ass kicked one of these days. So I got to kind of calm down. But
Well, what you need to do is concentrate on your health, brother, and
yes,
and, and mend and get better.
thanks. Thank you. Karen, thank you so much. Q, he'll tell you that story. It's a great one. He told his wife after, he's like, fucking be crazy, man. You're crazy. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You.
He is the Mad Cuban for real. So I'll talk to you again. Thank you everyone for jumping on. Make sure to go check out the book. Steve, title again. I know it, but I want you to say it.
Comedy of Tragedies in stores December 10th. Just in
Yes.
time for Christmas.
Yes. What a great Christmas gift for horror fans. Hopefully you got some pre-orders like they said. And that's about it, man. Thank you guys so much. And thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
on, Steve. It was a blast.
My pleasure, brother.
Thanks, man.